Hi everybody, I'm Tim Bulott and welcome to WeaponsAcademy.com and this week's episode of Ammo Shortage. And this week we're going to combine some empty hand tactics with some of these firearm skills that we've been working on up to this point. We call this strike and fire. And a technique like this would be utilized in a situation in which you find yourself too close to draw. Now, what is too close to draw? If you've got an enemy that's within your reactionary gap and you may risk getting into a weapon retention situation, sometimes you need to expand that reactionary gap, and drawing upon your on your empty hand skills may be something that you need to consider in one of these situations. So let's get into this a little bit deeper. It is one of those techniques I recommend that you do practice with some guidance. You've got somebody there that's had some experience at this, and to kind of help you along the way. Or you come see us at Weapons Academy and we'll get you moving right along. So let's get right into it. Okay, this exercise that I generally start with when working this concept of linking empty hand tactics with firearm skills, I call it strike and fire or strike and cover, depending on what you need to do. It's somewhat twofold in its nature. Okay, the first objective we want to cover is we want to up the pressure on you a little bit. Okay, up the activity, and at the same time we want to maintain good fundamentals and have good impacts. Remember, we're still working under the guidelines of a shelter in place and a national emergency, et cetera, which has caused ammunition to be scarce. So we're still working on that ammo shortage concept there. So we want to conserve and work fundamentals. Okay, so that's the first objective, is just to put a little bit of stress on you and keep our shots consistent and accurate. And the second is to actually practice something realistic that you may, and hopefully not, but you may experience in the street. Now, as I said before, there's been many officers killed in the line of duty in a close-in confrontation, and they failed to use empty hand tactics, and they were in that too close to draw situation. So what we want to do here is we want to create some space between ourselves and our attacker to allow us to get to our firearm, either to return fire, and hopefully that's not the situation, or just to cover the threat, okay, if that's what we need to do. Now, so starting out, we're going to work just the palm strike, okay? And try not to get paralysis of analysis in this, okay? I mean, yes, I understand that we need to work all of our zones, the high zone, the middle zone, the low zone, all the way from stand up to the ground, but this is just a starting point, and it's not a bad exercise either. So we're going to work with just the palm first. Now there's two principles that have to occur here to make this accurate, and the first one is point of origin. And what I'm referring to there is if I'm in somewhat of a ready position, say I'm addressing my attacker saying, you know, stay back, trying to make space, and the situation calls for it, whether I want to strike them to the face or strike them to the body to create space, that depends on your situation and what you're justified in doing. Okay, but point of origin means that the weapon has to move from where it is. So from here, I would simply go in a straight line to hit my intended target. And I'm going to use basically the muscular part of the hand down here, the palm. And that's the first one. The next one is direct opposites. So as that happens, okay, I'm going to counter rotate with my body, and my grip hand is going to go to the weapon in order to secure that weapon, to make it safe, and also to position it for the draw. So the initial move looks something like that, okay? With the hand moving directly from point of origin to the target, and the grip hand going directly to the pistol to secure the pistol, okay? Now, once again, situation and environment is going to dictate, but I'm just giving you a base drill to start on, okay? So if for whatever reason I cock this hand, or I move it, and my attacker is alert, okay, they can actually have a chance to block this, okay? And they practice these types of things in prisons as well, okay? If you practice this, you know, fast enough, strong enough, direct enough, and you can get close enough to your attacker, or you have an attacker that's within close range, if you don't have to commit with a type of entire body maneuver, okay, you can strike them and beat their reaction, and that's what we're talking about here. Now, once again, just to reiterate, if you strike somebody in the face with a palm strike, you need to be justified in employing high levels of force, meaning it's a potentially very violent situation, maybe a life or death situation, or one that you need to protect a third person in a life or death situation, okay? Other than that, you know, if you want to hit the upper chest, the shoulder pockets here just to create space, that's your call, okay? Depends on the situation, okay? But once again, point of origin, the striking hand moves from where it's at, at the same time, okay? That direct opposite, okay, allows those two forces to work opposing against each other, and I'll actually get a little bit more speed and a little bit more oomph behind my palm strike, okay? Same time, I'm going to lower my height just a little bit, and you'll see a little bit of counter rotation with the hips and the shoulders, and all that together, allows for a good solid palm strike. Now notice I used a verbal in there all the same, okay? Delivers a message. If there's any witnesses, they're going to remember that I'm yelling at this attacker to get back, okay? Helps me to breathe also and adds a little bit of emphasis and power to the strike, okay? So that's the first move. Watch it again. From here, we make the strike, and I've secured my weapon. Again. Okay, that's the first move. On the second move, just like in one of our previous classes, I'm going to use that rear crossover maneuver as I retract this hand into my body, and as I step back, I'm beginning my draw, and as I settle into my stance, I'm punching out with my pistol onto the threat. Now again, notice I'm using a training weapon here. I may be practicing this on a heavy bag at home, or in a minute I'll show you how to do it with a partner and with the striking shield, okay? So let's look at it again. Stand by. 1, 2, and 3. That's the 3 count that you want to put together, okay? Now look, I understand that the palm can get grabbed, all the variables, the what ifs and so forth, but as I said, try not to get paralysis of analysis. Just work one thing at a time and gradually work into these what if scenarios and so forth. Let's look at it again. Back! Good. And by bringing that hand to the chest, as I strike, by bringing that hand to the chest, it keeps me from doing anything, okay, that I can endanger myself. I mean, in a situation where you have to employ this, okay, there's going to be a lot of stress going on within you, okay, and during your own fight, you don't want to put a round through your forearm, all right? So, and it also puts it in a perfect position to unite, to have a solid grip when you do punch out, okay? Again, back! And I'm on target. Good. And one more. Back! And on target, okay? Now, in reality, had this been a good solid strike to my attacker, okay, in theory, if my attacker backs up a couple of paces, reacting to my strike, and I back up a couple of paces, employing my technique, we've created a good reactionary gap, a good amount of distance there, as opposed to him having this advantage. I attempt to draw my pistol, and then the next thing you know, I'm in a weapon retention situation that may end up on the ground, or even worse, with myself being disarmed, okay? So practice this for a while, and when we get back, I'm going to show you another idea on doing it with a partner. Okay, so we understand everyone doesn't have a heavy bag, so we've got these striking shields, as you can see what Terry's using here, okay? And if you'll notice the grip, he's got his hand through the bottom strap, a good grip on the top strap, and he's got his wrist backing up his wrist, and you don't want to hold that in front of your face, because what's going to happen, Terry, if that's in front of your nose? Yeah, I mean, you don't want to do that, okay? So, but what he's doing is he's putting pressure against the pad with this hand here, because remember, a human body it's got a lot of mass and weight to it, even the head. So this shield just kind of simulates that for me, okay? So Terry can hold that, okay, to simulate me striking either the upper body or the head, okay? So if the shield is down, go ahead and lower it, Terry, and when he wants me to execute the strike, he's trying to solicit the movement out of me, he simply positions the shield. Go ahead. When he positions the shield, that's my cue that basically I'm being attacked. And from there, I would make my strike, cover back, and I'm covering down on the shield with this training weapon, okay? Again, you would not do this with a live weapon. Even after it's been checked and cleared, I still recommend a training weapon. And even though I'm still not covering directly at Terry, I've got a problem with that, because he's my friend, okay? So I'm covering at the shield, okay? But definitely using, I mean, if it's a toy weapon or whatever, but just something that you can do this with, okay? And we've trained this way in martial arts, gun takeaways, and those sorts of things. You have to get to a point to where that weapon is oriented toward, but you have to make sure it's a training weapon. So again, Terry, whenever he's ready, he's going to basically place that in my face like my attacker. Go ahead, and I'm going to react. Strike and cover. Good, let's do that again. Okay. Strike and cover. Okay, now I'm going from somewhat of a ready position here, and as Terry raised the shield, as I said, I have to move from point of origin. That means this hand goes from there straight to the strike as I cover back, okay? If I anticipate that, okay, or I telegraph that in any way, Terry can actually detect that, and he may decide to move the shield, okay? So if he presents the shield, now Terry, if you see me make a move with this, such as I cock it, he had actually moved the shield and moved in on me because I gave myself away, so to speak. And that kind of lets me know, and he knows it's going to happen at times, but if we do that again, and I move from point of origin, I can beat his reaction, okay? You know what they say in a street fight, the firstest with the mostest is the bestest, okay? And that's all it takes. If I can get this weapon to the intended target enough to distract him, that may be all the time that I need to follow up with a secondary strike, to break distance and retreat, or in the case of what we're doing here, just to create enough reactionary space to cover and go for my weapon, okay? If I don't use something and my attacker is this close, the same for me works from him. He can move his hand directly from here to my holster, go ahead, and then I'm in another situation, but I don't want it to get to that, okay? Weapon retention situations are not good. So what we're trying to do is make the space before it gets to that. And again, we're justified, okay? So let's look at it one more time. Back! And I'm covered on the shield. Now, when we go live with this, we're going to hold each other accountable for our shots, okay? We're still going to implement all the fundamentals that we've discussed in the previous lessons up to this point. Stage and press the trigger, good follow through, good fundamentals and basics, okay? And keep our groups nice and tight, conserving ammo while we're adding more stress to the situation. Okay, so as Terry changes his position, say you kind of snake from side to side a little bit, Terry, okay? Like he's trying, I want to keep my body aligned to him. And as he presents the shield, I'll strike, step back, and make my punch out. So let's say he shifts a little bit more to his right. I want to stay aligned, strike, step back, and make my punch out, as opposed to getting myself off angle. If I'm here and he's more over here, go ahead. I don't have good body alignment for this, okay? It may not reach, and then if I have to change my position to deliver it, he's going to pick up on that, okay? And that's going to create him to move, or either invite him to come in and initiate his attack. So Terry, just kind of shift from side to side, and we'll show him. As he shifts one way or the other, go ahead and shift one way or the other. Okay, I keep my body aligned back the other way, okay? I'm keeping my body aligned to him and so forth, so I have proper body alignment when we deliver it, okay? So that's taking this to the next level, so to speak, but it's still the same exercise. We're just putting a little bit of slight movement in there, okay? So go ahead, Terry, just go ahead and assume whatever position, okay? Back! Make my strike, back and cover. All right, let's do it again. And back and cover, okay? And that'll give you an idea of how to add body alignment to this, which is really important. You've heard me use that term, angle of delivery, before, okay? Well, body alignment is just important because that means the structure of your body is supporting the strike in a way to where you're going to have the maximum effect. We're going to take this out on the range now and show you how we like to do it live fire. Back! Okay, so as we take this live fire, okay, the bob bag represents my threat when I apply the strike, and the steel target, the steel IPSC style silhouette back there, represents my threat when I go live fire. So this gives me something that I can actually hit an analog, as my partner calls it, that I can actually strike with some aggression, and then an actual target that can take a round also. So it allows us to put this realism into this. Terry's over there making faces at me because we had an analog joke there. So anyway, this helps us put these two things together, okay? So what we're fixing to do, Terry and I are going to take you through a 9-shot drill where we draw on all the fundamentals that we've been covering in this series, but we're going to link into the strike and fire.
Stand by. Threat.
Back! Again.
Stand by. Threat.
Back! Now, on the third part of the drill, we're gonna do what we did in the past. We're gonna reload, but off angle, cross right, and deliver another round. Okay? Let's do it.
Stand by. Threat.
Back! Loading! Again.
Stand by. Threat.
Back!
Stand by. Threat.
Back!
Stand by. Threat.
Back!
Stand by. Threat.
Back! Out of ammo. End of drill. Okay, so there's a look at my target after that. You can see I staged and pressed every shot. I utilized all the basic concepts we discussed in the previous sessions, and even though I added the stress of having the close-in threat, I kept my rounds in play and made everything count. All right, Terry, so we're going to run you through it now. So just remember the point of origin, hand goes from where it's at, the direct opposites, okay, which gives you some counter rotation. As one hand goes to the target, the other hand grips the pistol, and simultaneously you'll do that rear crossover, step out, and give me a good, well-placed, well-controlled shot. Good to go?
Good to go.
Shooter ready?
Ready.
Stand by. Threat. Back! Nice. All right, again. Stand by. Threat. Back! Good control. All right, now when it's time to reload, we'll add our cross step in there, our lateral movement. Let's go ahead and cross right because it kind of fits the range, and do your reload. Stand by. Threat. Back! And one more. That's part of the drill, that follow-up shot.
I forgot about the follow-up shot.
Yeah, and I pushed you a little bit, and
I forgot about the follow-up shot. I was just doing that combat reload and gonna pan and scan.
that's all right. That's why we're out here.
So,
okay, so
that's all right. I need to fix it.
Let's hit it again. All right, shooter ready. Stand by. Threat. Back! Good, keeping him in that upper chest. Okay, now remember, what are we going to do when we reload? We're going to do that follow-up shot.
And then do the follow-up
Stand
shot.
by. Threat. Back! Nice. Big improvement when you're not fighting the drill, huh?
Big improvement when you're not fighting the drill.
All right, stand by. Threat. Back! Stand by. Threat! Back!
Out of ammo.
All right, end of drill. Okay, you kept everything in the upper chest. You had just that one kind of get away from you there, and that was the one where you were fighting the drill, and that just added a little extra pressure. Other than that, everything's right in there. Good to go. Okay, so this time we're going to go 3, 3, and 3, utilizing our lateral movement, but still we're going to stage and press and adhere to good fundamentals on the shooting.
Stand by. Threat.
Back! Loading! Loading! Out of ammo. All right, shooter. 3, 3, and 3, utilizing your footwork, your maneuvers, and everything else we've covered. Stand by. Threat. Back!
Reloading. Out of ammo.
Nice. Nice fluid on that reload too. That's really starting to come together for you, isn't it?
It is.
It shows.
A little bit of practice on it, and it's much smoother and much faster than having done handover forever.
Well, as soon as ammo comes back up, we'll exploit that even more.
Excellent.
Okay, so Terry, hitting on those two factors we discussed. Number one, we want to get a close opponent off of us before we draw. We're in that too close to draw range. And then secondly, adding that extra stress factor and keeping to the fundamentals. Okay.
Yeah, and it makes sense to me, creating the distance and the distraction, and then tying back into everything else that we've done with moving, getting offline, getting your combat reloads. And
we've had our share of discussions. Like we had the situation that happened in Dallas with the shoplifter. Okay, he was armed. When they went to handcuff him, the fight ensued. He produced a weapon, and we had officers that were shot. So those are the types of situations that we're talking about, and civilians can find themselves in these close-in situations also.
You're always behind the power curve. They've already made a decision to do something, and they're inside your OODA loop. So you're trying to catch up. So by creating distance and creating space, you're giving yourself that time to react.
And keep it in mind that the big, mean, pissed off attacker can cover 3 to 4 yards in about a second. How long does it actually take to get to your weapon, present the weapon, and get 2 or 3 rounds on target? So, and again, keeping with the fundamentals that we've been covering and keeping the stress levels a little higher and forcing yourself to adhere to those fundamentals. Obviously it's working, Terry. It's a nice fist-size group there on that last run, and that's what we're talking about. If you don't make that conscious effort to practice it that way, we've seen it again and again. Those groups really open up when you add this kind of stimulus to it.
Yeah, any kind of movement, you're trying to piece 3 or 4 things together, so you lose the fundamentals.
Anyway, so good, excellent. Anyway, so we hope you've enjoyed that strike and fire. Okay, if you have any comments, contact us. Leave a message below. We'll get back to you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Amenaza!
Atrás!
Amenaza!
Atrás!
Threat! Back! Well, there you have it. Just some thoughts and some ideas on how to link the empty hand skill, that palm strike, with a situation where you've got a threat that's right up on top of you. Create and expand that reactionary gap to give you an opportunity to get to your weapon. Now, we hope you never find yourself in this situation, but nevertheless, it's still something that you need to incorporate. And there's a little bit of enjoyment factor involved in this as well when you combine these skills, empty hands and firearm skills, and basically take your training to new heights and up to a different level. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Send us an email or give us a phone call, either way. And remember, if you're not training, you ought to be. If you're not training at Weapons Academy, come check us out and see what we're doing. Y'all stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you on the next program.